Welcome to Evan Tales, where we delve deep into the pivotal moments in history that not only shaped nations, but also transformed the course of human civilization. Here, we uncover the events that have left lasting legacies, from the rise and fall of empires to the discovery of new frontiers. In today's episode, we focus on Christopher Columbus, whose journey in 1492 led to the collision of two distant worlds. This isn't just the story of Christopher Columbus setting sail in 1492. It's the story of how one voyage forever altered the lives of millions and shaped the world we live in today. Buckle up, because what begins as a calculated mission to find a new route to Asia soon unfolds into a tale of greed, exploitation, and the devastating tragedy of native people.
You see, in 1492, a stubborn navigator named Christopher Columbus made what should have been a fatal error. He believed Earth was much smaller than it truly was. Convinced he could reach Asia by sailing west, he underestimated the size of the planet and the vastness of the Atlantic Ocean. In any other circumstance, this mistake would have led to disaster, but fate had other plans. Three tiny ships, the Niña, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, carried 90 men into the unknown. They were wooden specks against an endless expanse of water. For 36 days they sailed westward, following the stars, battling storms, and enduring the growing fear among the crew. The familiar stars of Europe gave way to constellations they had never seen before. The horizon stretched endlessly, a haunting reminder of the uncertainty they faced. Yet, on October 12, 1492, they sighted land, an island in the Bahamas, a world that would change their own forever. What happened next is both fascinating and tragic. Columbus and his crew encountered the Taino people, a group whose lives were marked by harmony with their environment and sophisticated social structures. To Columbus, they appeared naive and ripe for exploitation. To the Taino, these strangers brought gifts of iron and curiosity. Neither could foresee the consequences of this meeting. The collision of these worlds was far more than a meeting of peoples. It was the merging of ecosystems, economies, and ideologies that had developed independently for over 10,000 years. Diseases, animals, plants, and technologies traveled across the Atlantic in both directions, reshaping continents in ways unimaginable. The first waves of change came silently, invisibly. European diseases, smallpox, measles, influenza, swept through the Americas like an unseen fire. Indigenous populations with no immunity suffered catastrophic losses. Entire villages were wiped out before ever encountering Europeans directly. In the Mexican Valley alone, great cities fell quiet. Streets emptied. Temples were abandoned. A population of 25 million reduced to 1 million in a single century. The impact of these diseases rippled globally. Europe, emboldened by its ability to dominate weakened populations, intensified its colonial ambitions. Meanwhile, in Africa, the growing European presence and trade would introduce new diseases that disrupted local communities and ecosystems. Disease was just the beginning. Behind it came men in steel armor, riding animals never seen in the Americas for thousands of years, horses. Although horses could be found in North America, they went extinct around 10,000 years ago, likely due to climatic changes and overhunting by humans. When the Spanish reintroduced them, they became a transformative force. Tribes such as the Lakota and Comanche later embraced the horse, revolutionizing hunting and warfare, but this dramatic change came after European contact. The Spanish, however, used horses as tools of conquest. These animals gave the Europeans speed and mobility that indigenous peoples could not match. Armed with iron weapons and gunpowder, they overwhelmed the defenses of great empires. The Aztec Empire, builder of pyramids and master of astronomy, fell to Hernán Cortés in just 2 years. The Inca Empire, with its massive stone cities high in the Andes, was toppled by Francisco Pizarro shortly after. The conquest of these empires wasn't just a military triumph, it was the obliteration of entire civilizations. Libraries burned, temples were desecrated, and gold and silver were stripped from sacred places to fill European treasuries. But the destruction extended beyond the Americas. European powers, enriched by the wealth of the New World, turned their ambitions toward Asia and Africa. The global balance of power shifted, marking the beginning of European domination across continents. Yet history is rarely simple. While the human tragedy unfolded, something remarkable was happening. The largest exchange of plants, animals, and ideas in Earth's history. This was the Columbian Exchange, and its effects were felt on every continent. In the Americas, horses revolutionized transportation and hunting for Native American tribes. European wheat and sugarcane transformed agriculture. But the exchange worked both ways. Potatoes from the Andes ended famines in Europe. Tomatoes became staples in Italian cuisine, and chili peppers spiced up Asian dishes. Corn and cassava fed millions in Africa, reshaping diets and sustaining populations. Meanwhile, silver mined in South America flooded global markets, creating the first truly global currency. This silver flowed to Europe, then to Asia, fueling trade with China and India. The global economy was born in this moment, connecting continents like never before. Speaking of the global economy, the wealth extracted from the Americas set the stage for the Industrial Revolution. Spanish galleons carried vast quantities of gold and silver across the Atlantic, funding the rise of banking systems in London, Amsterdam, and Paris. These metals became the lifeblood of European economies, enabling the creation of modern financial institutions like stock exchanges and the expansion of global trade networks. African labor, through the transatlantic slave trade, produced sugar that sweetened European diets, tobacco that fueled European demand, and cotton that powered the textile industries of England. The triangular trade system intertwined Europe, Africa, and the Americas, creating a cycle of dependency and exploitation that generated immense profits for European powers while devastating entire regions of Africa and the Americas. Asia, too, felt the effects. The massive influx of American silver into China, funneled primarily through the Manila galleons, destabilized its economy. The Ming dynasty's reliance on silver as currency led to inflation, social unrest, and a shift in the global balance of power. Indian textiles, long prized for their quality, became commodities in the transatlantic trade, reshaping local industries and economies as European colonial powers expanded their reach into South Asia. Even Oceania felt the ripple effects, as European explorers and traders reached its shores in search of resources, new trade routes, and strategic advantages. The demand for sandalwood, sea cucumbers, and other natural resources introduced new economic activities but also disrupted traditional ways of life. The spread of diseases, combined with European colonization efforts, led to profound demographic and cultural changes. And so here we are, over 5 centuries later. Every time you drink coffee grown in Brazil, eat a pizza with tomatoes, or check your phone containing minerals from around the globe, you're touching a piece of this story. A story that began with 3 small ships and 1 navigator's mathematical error. History isn't just about the past, it's about understanding how we got here, and where we might be going. Because just like Columbus's voyage, our actions today will echo through centuries to come. The only question is, what kind of world will we help create?